So what are the graphs of sine and cosine? Okay, so we want to take a look at that, and let's look at a standard sine curve, graph sine curve. Let's look at the standard sine curve right now. And here's our x, here's our y, this is going to be in, so, okay, so we take a look at the standard sine curve. Here's 0. It's -1. Okay, and of course when you put this in your graphic calculator you get a better picture of it, but there's certain points, like we know this is pi over 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi over 2, and this is 2 pi. We say this is one complete cycle. This is your standard y equals sine of x curve. Okay, I'm going to mess with it, but this is the standard, what it looks like. Starts out at 0, there's its max height at 1, min height at negative, and it reaches its max height at pi over 2, or 90 degrees, gets back to 0 at pi, gets down to its minimum at 270 degrees, or 3 pi over 2, and brings us back to 0 at 2 pi. So that's your standard sine curve. We're going to be looking more at that, but these are important points. This is what we call one complete cycle, and that's a period at 2 pi, and we're going to get more into that, and its amplitude is 1, and that means its maximum is at 1, and its minimum is at -1. We're going to look at a lot more of those, but let's look at our standard cosine curve. Let's look at our standard cosine curve. Okay, our standard cosine curve. And this is exciting stuff. If you've never seen it before, you should be very excited. And if you have, this is good a review. And again, start from 1 to -1. We're going to curve our way down, get a little shot back up. Okay? And this is our, I'm going to make this a little nicer because it just should curve out right there at -1 and we have y equals cosine of x. Okay, so there's our standard cosine curve, and let's put in our values again. Here's 0, here's pi over 2, there's pi, and there is 3 pi over 2, and then right here where it gets back to the max height is 2 pi. That's one complete cycle. Okay, so again, if we take a look at start at 0, it's at 1. Back to 0 is at 90 degrees, or pi over 2. To -1, it's at pi. Gets to 0 at 3 pi over 2, and then gets back up to 1 at 2 pi. One complete period, one complete cycle of a cosine curve. And let's break that down. Let's break that down. And we already said the coefficient, the number in front of cosine is 1. That's the amplitude. So let's put that up on the board. So we take a look and we say we'll talk about the amplitude. Okay? So we say y equals 2 sine of x. And we say that the 2 is the amplitude. Amplitude. Okay, so we say that the 2 is the amplitude. Okay? So amplitude is the absolute value. So A, it's always going to be positive because it's a maximum minimum. So in this case, max height is 2, min height is -2. So it's going to be 2. So on the y, it's going between 2 and -2. And we can just take another sketch of that. So this time not starting. So this one, our sine curve hits our max height at 2, comes back down to earth, hits our min. Okay, so there is our y equals 2 sine of x. This number tells us our max height, our min height. That's what we call the amplitude, the A. Okay?